Hello.
Hi.
We're
It's us.
live.
I'm sitting in Luna's little arms.
Yes.
I'm in her
Um,
little lap.
I don't think my camera can see you, so hopefully
I'm
you
being-
won't get
I just checked.
you won't get modeled.
Making sure I'm not in frame.
Yeah, hello. As usual, I'm Luna, the owner of this Twitch channel, and this is my husband Joe.
Hi.
And today we are having a great time because we are going to read some cozy Yuletide tales. We have our 8th night of Hanukkah, Hanukkah, and we have a Christmas tree. And those are the only two things that you need for a great time.
Yep.
We have hot chocolate.
Yeah. I'm wearing the outfit that Luna has drawn me in.
Yeah.
She said, "What color sweater do you want?" I said, "Draw the coziest color that you have."
And I said black.
Yes. So I am wearing an off black sweater.
Yeah.
And I also am wearing sort of blue socks. I chose the sock color, but then I didn't have that color socks, actually. I just thought that looked nice.
Yeah, you're
But
also...
I am wearing the kitty slippers.
Yeah, you're also wearing your sweats, your
famous.
kitty slippers, and your mug is even... It's not the same shade of
What?
blue, but it is blue.
Wow, that was not intentional. We
Yeah.
have hot chalky.
Mm-hmm. We made hot chocolate bombs that... Where did you get them?
A coworker
Mm,
did not want them
I see.
3 years ago, and I said I
They're
would like them.
vintage.
They're not that good. Like, they're not as good as, like, the hot chocolate that we usually like, which is literally just the Safeway store brand hot chocolate. It fucking rules. I don't know why that is. That's crazy.
Yeah, I really wasn't expecting
It's honestly,
it
it's
to
better
be
than
so good.
Christmas.
It
which
is
just,
better
like,
than Christmas. I don't
it's
know why that
very
is,
strange.
but yeah.
But the bombs are cool, and then I add more marshmallows and the signature select
more hot
chocolate because they're not very chocolatey, but they do burp out a bunch of marshmallows and melt and stuff. And so yeah.
Yeah.
Luna sent me a hot chocolate bomb compilation the other day that included a bomb farting out.
It really, I swear,
pooped out the
it
marshmallow.
pooped out the marshmallow. It farted out the marshmallow.
She said, "Look at this video and guess which one I'm laughing at." It's like, is it when it poops the marshmallow out?
It's not hard to guess. I'm extremely predictable where farts are involved. So anyway, today we're gonna read a story. This is a very special story. This is a story that I wrote in 2020, the year of our Lord 2020. I was reading, we were getting very into Chinese like C-dramas and BL and Xianxia dogmas and all these things. We a friend showed us The Untamed, and then we rolled down a big hill. And one of the things that I had started reading around the winter time that year was Tianguan Sifu, which is a great book that you should read. However you can acquire a translation of it. There are legitimate and other ways. And so I wrote this Christmas fanfiction. It's not a spicy fanfiction, in case anyone is about to be disappointed. I'm so sorry. I have not, to date, written a spicy fanfiction. But it brings me joy. And we're going to read it for you here today. And if we have time, I might also read another story, but I don't have any idea how long this is going to take. So, 17 pages long, printed it out my own AO3 fic. So I'm going to read the first chapter, and then we're going to alternate chapters so that I can drink my hot chocolate in chapter 2 and etc.
Yeah. Do you want to read the title and the summary?
Oh, I would
Before we
love
get into
to.
it?
Yes. First, the only thing I want to do, I just want to put up the title for in case anyone
This is so cute.
is like, what the fuck are they talking about?
Yeah. Also, do we still need Frosty the Snowman playing in the background?
I don't know.
Is
It
that,
should.
I don't know if that's distracting or.
It's not distracting to me. Apparently, the Caboose Shuffle just wants to play Frosty the Snowman. Maybe forever. But I can put on something different.
Oh, it not necessarily like different, just like it's a very nice Frosty the Snowman.
It is. I didn't even realize it was Frosty the Snowman.
I was more just referring to like the music in general.
Oh, I'm down with keeping the Winter Lo-Fi Jazz Cafe.
Okay.
Unless you want something different. That was.
You are just able to hear more sounds at the same time than I am.
Okay.
But I'll be
Okay,
fine.
you can, if you want, when you're reading, you can take out your headphones.
I probably will have to.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I might do it right now.
Okay, cool. That's fine. Do you want to put it back in its case so that it can charge while you're not using it?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Dude, your case is at 35%.
Yeah.
That sucks.
It's not that bad.
Mine's like always at 100. Because I'm very good.
My charger is always AWOL, so I'm always winging it. Okay.
Okay.
The title of this fanfiction. Hey, Say, how are you? Welcome in. We're just about to start the reading for today. You are just in time. This is my husband Joe with
Hi.
me. Joe, this is Say, my new GM for Pathfinder.
Oh, how exciting! The reading.
the reading. Yes, the reading is
of
happening. Okay. The title of this fan fiction is Hurry Down the Chimney. The summary of this fan
Are you
fiction
gonna
is-
make it?
Yes, I am. Milk and cookies didn't work out so well this year. When Santa Claus is unexpectedly incapacitated by Shilian's joyous festivity cookies, in all caps by the way, joyous festivity cookies, it causes a Christmas Eve crisis. Who will deliver all the children's presents? Page flipping ASMR. Chapter 1. Okay, the way that this is printed out from AO3, it says Chapter 1, colon. Chapter 1, colon. Gaga's Joyous Festivity Cookies. Precious white flake. God damn it. Okay. I'm gonna take a sip of the hot chocolate. I have to be able to do this. Joe's looking away from me.
I'm looking away because sometimes when I look at you, you keep laughing.
Sometimes when you look at me, I laugh. Sometimes when you look away from me, I laugh.
I can't win. I'm sorry.
Precious white flakes of snow kissed the eaves of a humble cottage whose latticework fences were decorated to the brim with ivy and poinsettias. Through the round window, a warm golden glow illuminated the interior, where Shilian and a young boy were busy as sugar plum fairies baking cookies for Christmas Eve. As the ground outside was dusted with a layer of shimmering snow, so too were the countertops and tablecloths dusted with a layer of flour and powdered sugar. Cookie cutters in a myriad of wintertime shapes lay arranged just so over a smooth surface of rolled-out dough, looking picturesque with their puzzle-perfect fit. A small radio on the countertop jingled pleasantly. Shilian unabashedly loved the classical jazz renditions, although his old friends had always poked fun at him for his taste in holiday music. At the counter, what I was going to say before I started that paragraph was, it might have sounded something like this. At the counter, Shilian hupped young Goozy up onto the stool and sat him there, handing the boy a smaller mixing bowl to complement his own larger one, and gently rubbing a bit of flour off of Goozy's nose. Now here, take a scoop of the flour with this one, Shilian handed Goozy a measuring cup, and add it to the mixture you've got there. I don't know how do I voice act Hua Chong? Gaga. Called a smooth voice from the kitchen table.
I was thinking about this morning. We were thinking about a cat that goes meow, which I think we were trying to figure out what what anime cat says meow, and we think it's the big cat from Sailor Moon, very early Sailor Moon. His name
What did you say? His Rhett Butler?
Rhett Butler is his name in the sub, and I think his name in the dub is Hercules. Because they figured
beautiful.
American children would not know about Rhett Butler, even though...
That's ironic.
I know.
For the reasons why it's ironic.
Anyway, I was thinking about... Just think of the big cat going, meow.
Shilian's eyes wandered away from Guzi as he glanced across the room to give Hua Chong a smile as bright and gentle as a full moon. Sunlong, how are your decorations coming along? Besides Shilian, Guzi extracted a heaping measure of flour from the tin and dropped the entire overfull cup into his mixing bowl. The boy carefully wrested the wooden spoon from his distracted uncle's hands and began to stir. Hua Chong, sitting at the kitchen table, had taken on the mantle of cookie decorator and was carefully ladling powdered sugar frosting across the surface of the cookies in pleasantly intricate designs. He looked up at Shilian mischievously from under his lashes and gently pushed the cookie across a napkin. Nope. Push the cookie on a napkin across the table. There we go. Shilian fumbled for a moment, just barely managing to catch the mixing bowl that had slipped from his hand. It's not really a Christmas cookie now, is it? The frosting had been arranged just so. For a portrait made solely with the back of a spoon and a toothpick, it was, in fact, amazing. Shilian had to admit he'd never seen such a beautiful portrait of the Crown Prince of Shanla done in a confectionery before. Everything was there. The white, red, and gold robes, the elegant mask he had worn centuries ago on that day. Hua Chong dragged the cookie back over, arching a perfect brow. This is just like the time I read that other fan fiction. 5 inches wide.
9?
Was it? No, it was 5 inches wide.
Wasn't it? No, I thought it was 9. Well,
anyway, this is just like that. Sadly, we can't air that one anymore. Or maybe we can. Anyway, Hua Chong dragged the cookie back over, arching a perfect brow, with the barest hint of a pout on his lips. We need a drinking game. If Gaga doesn't like it, I'll just have to do better next time. No, it's beautiful. It's really something else, stuttered Shilian. But if we're going to put these out for Santa tonight, it might be weird if he's munching on my head, you know? Wow, this slaps. Hua Chong puffed a small laugh through his nose, as if I would let the big man have my breakfast cookie. Who wrote this? This one's for me. Don't worry. I'll be fine by page 5. I promise.
It's a good pick, ma'am.
Don't worry, I'll take extra care, he added.
I'm fine and normal. You're the one.
The two made...
I do not have a technical difficulties buttons. We should have made a button. We should have made a button.
The two made brief and blushing eye contact as Hua Chong licked the last of the frosting off his artist's toothpick. While he went back to his decorating, Shilian stared at him for a while longer, absent-mindedly adding a teaspoon, or was it a tablespoon, of salt to the dough. Uncle, does this look right to you? Guzi piped up from his perch. He held up his own dough, which looked to be the correct pale golden color, but was suspiciously hard. Even after poking at it with his spoon, there was nary a dent, and this batch hadn't been rolled or cooked yet. Hey, Hime! Welcome in. I am keeping it together just barely. Okay, let's see. Where was I? That's perfect, Guzzy. I think you're a natural. Now, let's take these over and start rolling them out, shall we? What's wrong?
Technical issue.
Oh, yes, you're right. Thank you. I'm glad it's cozy. That is the goal. So, make yourself comfortable and chill out. Thank you. The rest of the night proceeded peacefully. Outside, there was only the silent hush of new fallen snow, while rabbits nestled into hibernation in their dens. Inside, this small family spoke and laughed together, and sometimes carried on with their baking in contented silence, but always with joyful hearts, knowing that they were safe and they were together. Isn't that nice? All in all, it was a cozy Christmas Eve interlude, punctuated by crooning from the radio, the smell of sugar and vanilla, and the hushed murmurings of the adults after Guzzy had fallen asleep, tucked under a mess of blankets in front of the fireplace. Shilian's head rested gently on Hua Chang's shoulder as he took in the lights from the tree and the flickering of embers. Sanlang, thank you for tonight. Hua Chang said nothing, but twirled a long lock of Shilian's hair gently between his fingers. Although they weren't looking into each other's eyes, just by the way his chest and chin shifted above him, Shilian knew that his husband had a smile on his face. You don't have to thank me, Kaka. The light in your eyes and the way you look when you're happy is more than enough. Shilian shifted and placed a kiss on Hua Chang's cheek, a little extra warm from the radiating heat of the fire in the grate. Time to get this one to bed, I think. And we have to put out the milk and cookies. Once Guzzy and his pile of quilts had been tucked into his mattress on the floor, the boy's own choice, as he simply couldn't get used to sleeping on a frame after spending so much time in transience, Shilian and Hua Chang took a few minutes to select the most festive, beautifully decorated cookies, just in case Santa made his much-awaited appearance, and arranged them on the mantelpiece next to a tall glass of milk. The two exchanged a knowing glance, and Shilian held Hua Chang's hand and led him to the bed. Fade to black. It's chapter 1. Are you prepared?
I'm
for
prepared.
chapter 2?
Do you want to do an inter-chapter discussion? Or do...
Well, is there something you would like to discuss?
I don't know. We just said that we might do it.
Yes, we did say that. Unfortunately, I do believe I did most of my discussion in the middle of the chapter.
That's fair.
I don't have anything to say,
Okay.
except that I'm excited that it's you reading chapter 2 and not me. Because
Why?
I think it's gonna be a little too funny for me to read. I'm gonna drink my hot chocolate and enjoy.
Okay. Chapter 2. Chapter 2. Full Metal Alchemist.
Full Metal Alchemist.
Chapter 2. Chapter 2. Santa's Sleigh. And it's spelled S-L-A-Y. Because it is.
We'll find out why.
Thud! Crash! Ding, 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 ding! Shilian jolted straight up in bed as from downstairs there came a loud bang and an ominous tinkling sound. It sounded as if 1,000 tiny pieces of glass had just shattered all over the floor. Moments later, there came the sound of a man's anguished groan. Heart racing, Shilian quickly glanced over at the other side of the bed, only to see that Hua Chang was already sliding out from underneath the blankets. Gaga, you stay here. I'll handle this, Hua Chang whispered. He reached out to the wall and lifted his old scimitar, umming off of its now mostly ceremonial wall hanging. Umming's red eye blinked open sleepily, looking over at Shilian with a questioning expression. Shilian was already out of bed as well. I'm coming with you, he said to Hua Chang. The two of them exchanged the same look that they had so many times. Each of them wanted to protect the other from harm, but neither were willing to stand by while their partner dealt with something dangerous alone. And that was that. They both headed down the stairwell towards the den. When they passed by Guzzy's room, Shalian craned his head in to make sure everything was alright, and indeed, the boy's tousled hair and soft whiffling snores indicated that he was somehow, bless him, still fast asleep. At the bottom of the stairwell, Hua Cheng pulled Shalian aside gently and handed over Ming, which purred anxiously in Shalian's hands. In one arm, Hua Cheng held Shalian in a protective embrace, and with the other he conjured a single, lace-thin, silver wraith butterfly which fluttered into the den. The two men touched their foreheads together, closed their eyes, and observed what had transpired. No, really? Shalian piped up incredulously. Is that? I believe it is, Guga. The Christmas tree in the den lay miserably askew. The ominous tinkling sound from before could be explained by 10 or 20 round glass baubles that had been knocked onto the ground. Presumably, this had happened when the tree was fallen into by the man who was now collapsed into a shivering heap near the hearth. He was a big man.
Yes, he was.
The big man is here. He was a big man, built solidly, but still lined with age and sporting a venerable white beard. His robes were a velveteen burgundy, trimmed with fur, and a pair of slim golden spectacles, which had been perched daintily on the tip of his nose, had skidded across the floor to join the broken baubles. All in all, he was not the kind of person one would expect to show up randomly in your house, except on one special night of the year, ... But why was Santa Claus lying there, looking dead on our living room floor? Question mark.
Why?
Shalian opened his eyes, dissipating his wraith butterfly vision, and darted into the living room. He crouched down next to Santa Claus, looking him over, but there were no apparent wounds. Sir Claus, can you hear me? What happened? After a moment came the old man's weak voice. Not the usual milk and cookies.
That was a good line read.
Thank you. Sure enough, when Shalian looked down, Santa held in one hand a small bag of delicately wrapped presents, labeled with the names of each person in the household. In the other hand, he clutched a half-eaten snowman-shaped cookie. Oh no! Shalian's mind whirled with possible ramifications. If Santa were really incapacitated, how much spiritual power did he have? Did he have any experience in cultivation at all? Shalian couldn't help but envision Pei-Su speaking in broken commas and being dragged up and down Mount Tongmu while he recovered from the toppled phoenix's soup. Hua Cheng had come over and was now sitting cross-legged next to Shalian. He picked up one of the untouched cookies left on the plate and munched it happily. Guga's baking really isn't this bad. There's no need to be so dramatic, he mused. If anything, I think they could have used a touch more sugar, but it's really nothing to worry about at all. Anyway, it's a shame to just toss them on the floor. Shalian gently poked Santa and tried to tilt some of the glass of milk into Santa's mouth. There now, surely with a little milk to wash it down, you'll be right as rain. I think I broke a tooth. Mumbled Santa Claus before passing out right then and there. Sunlong, this is bad. I don't think he's very well, and it's only midnight. He's still got practically a whole night's worth of presents to deliver. Guga, ... You know what we have to do. It's the only way, Gillian said, standing up and brushing off his pajamas. He had that faraway, determined look in his eyes, the one that Hua Cheng knew meant he was about to head off in an unexpected direction. We'll just have to deliver the presents ourselves.
That's right. It's the only way.
It's the only way. Up on the rooftop, a massive sleigh rested impossibly on the snowy shingles. Beautifully embroidered harnesses of red, green, and shimmering gold tethered a team of reindeer to the sleigh. They puffed out warm clouds of steam from their noses, and snow was flung off the roof and onto the ground by their pawing hooves. This was certainly like nothing Shalian had ever seen before. Pull up.
Easy, G.
Alright, I thought I heard a cat, but I maybe didn't. Everything outside. Oh, he's outside. Oh, there's a cat. Everything seemed to be in order. A towering sack of presents was strapped to the back of the sleigh, so large that it looked as if it might topple over sideways at any moment. Shalian patted the neck of the closest reindeer, and it swung an antler at him in annoyance. A chilling look from Hua Cheng was enough to subdue even a punchy reindeer, and it stilled his head, though its ears idly flicked back and forth. Shalian had grabbed onto the wooden arm of the sleigh and swung himself up lightly, patting the seat next to him. Sunlong, he offered, holding out a gloved hand. Hua Cheng took the proffered hand, kissed it with a smile, and then climbed up next to Shalian. He hummed pensively for a moment. Something is missing, he said, and began to wrestle around in the back of the sleigh for a moment before pulling out a giant mink blanket made of some silky black fur. He spread it over both of their laps. By all accounts, they looked just like a picturesque couple that might be painted on a card, apple-cheeked and cozy despite the chilling winds. May I? Hwa-Chang picked up the reins, and with a flick of his wrist, he gave the reindeer the order to take off. Nothing happened. A few heartbeats later, Shalian reached out and put his hands on the reins too, just covering Hwa-Chang's hands with his own, and made the motion again. This time he added, "On Dasher, and Dancer, and Prancer, and Vixen." Still, those reindeer continued to nose around the roof to see if there were any morsels of ivy they could nibble on, while their master was indisposed. "Ahahaha, I thought that would work for sure." Shalian gulped nervously. "Any ideas, Sanlong?" The corner of Hwa-Chang's mouth tilted upwards in a mischievous smile. "Actually, Gaga, I think I have just the thing."
Chapter
I'm
3.
excited.
Oh no. I'm scared that this one is also going to be too funny. Alright, hang on. I just need one more sip of water.
Here's my inter-chapter commentary.
Yes, please.
While you sip your water.
Please.
Is that, I guess I haven't looked at the new translation, and by new translation I mean the, like, official translation, but the way that the thing is written with the, I got tired inside my mind.
You can do it. You can do it, baby.
No, I'm trying so hard. The way that Santa talks after he's eaten the cookies and is indisposed is like the way that people talk after they get got by eating Shalian's cooking in the like original fan translation. Although I think the official translation is by the
yes, I believe that is true, or at least that's what I heard at the time. Is so the official translation is now published by Seven Seas. They do a ton of these novels now. There are like so many of them. But when Tianguan Sifu came out, I believe, yes, I had heard that the person who was translating it for Seven Seas was the fan translator who had done the one that I read. That was, I think, like the main.
It's also the one that I had read. But yeah, there's like a specific way that some of the writing, there's like a style to it that is more than just like a translation choice. It's like a style choice to convey something that I don't know how it is in the original Chinese, because I do not know, but is like so recognizable. If just I don't know, it brings me back.
Yeah, it really does bring me back.
Is what I mean.
Much more wholesome than my version of Saint Nick anyway. Listen, we can talk about non-wholesome Saint Nicks on a different stream, or later in this stream. Sadly, this particular story is rated, I would say, PG or maybe PG-13. I feel like it's PG.
I feel like
if Hunchback of Notre Dame is PG.
Well, in PG-13 you can say fuck one time.
Oh, you can say fuck one time. Okay, I think
there's probably more.
There's at least one fuck in here. There might be more than one.
Yeah. So.
Is Seven Seas Korean? Do you know that?
They are. I thought they were. Aren't they US based and they just translate and publish in? I don't actually know. But I mean, all of the titles that I'm familiar with are originally Chinese titles, but I don't know if I think they must have like a wider. I think they were just beginning to break into like Chinese translation and like Chinese BL stuff. Like these were sort of like the first ones. They'd existed before, and I think it was like a new. I don't know like where they're based or. I'm looking it up right now. Neat.
Google time while I gear up for chapter 3.
Yeah.
Also known as chapter 3: Chapter 3.
Yeah. Yeah, they are American. They're based in LA.
Based in LA? Interesting.
But
Just
yeah,
like everybody.
manga, comics, and light novels.
Mm.
So yeah, I think that. Yeah, so probably originally mostly manga. I'm hearing all kinds of sounds.
All kinds of. Also, our neighbor across the wall is gaming or doing whatever he does. I don't know what he does. It sounds sometimes like he's gaming, sometimes it sounds like he's streaming, and I'm like, bro, we should collab, but not really, because I think that he's scary.
I think he's nice, but
he could be.
he's
He
never
could be
talked
nice,
to me.
but I don't know.
I only know what his name is because our other neighbor told me.
Perfect. I had one more thing I wanted to say before I
Okay.
start this chapter, and it is. Oh, speaking of Seven Seas, I wanted to update everyone. I started Beauty's Blade.
Yeah.
Beauty's Blade. I think the first Girls Love series that they have
I
done.
think that's true.
And it's rad. It's rad as hell. Gamer words through the
Gamer
wall.
words to the wall.
Yeah.
You really, it's a certain tone.
It's a I can tell.
It's a certain
I
kind
can
of
tell. You can't
certain,
see.
certain tone of wahooing
Yeah.
that you can hear
Yeah.
through the wall.
Yeah.
Which is fun. I have one more thing, which is the
Okay.
heat on and may I turn it down if so?
The heat is on, and you may turn it down. Yes.
Because I'm warm.
Yes. All right. This is chapter 3, chapter 3. Seasons greetings. Hopefully no one is afraid of snakes. I assume there must be snakes in this chapter. I don't remember, but since it's called Seasons Greetings, I assume so.
Okay.
I just simply don't remember. Yi, you, she. Yi, you, she. As it turns out, even when they were pulling a sleigh full of presents instead of Hua Changsu's step litter, those 4 golden skeletons were still compelled to bust out their work song. On any normal Christmas Eve, if they were lucky, someone looking up at the sky to see if Santa Claus was on his way might have caught a glimpse of an elegant team of reindeer galloping across the face of the full moon, with a jolly lad in the sleigh crying out, "Ho, ho, ho!" This year, if someone were looking up at the full moon, they would see a gaggle of skeletons, silhouetted against the sky, marching incessantly with knees up high, and 2 young men sat together in the sleigh, one of them laughing. Ah ha 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 ha! I don't really know what inflection the ha 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 was supposed to be.
I
Also, they made Christmas woke. How dare they?
These guys?
Yeah.
They made Christmas woke?
Yeah, because there's
'Cause
2
they're
young men
gay.
in it. Yeah.
Oh, because they're 2 young men. I see.
Yeah. Xilian was leaning over the side of the sleigh delightedly, while Huachang watched him with a fond eye. Though an astute observer might be able to tell that he was ever so slightly holding onto the edge of Xilian's pajamas to make sure he didn't topple over the edge. Yi, you, she. My lord, where to next? Huachang ran a finger lightly over the seemingly endless parchment that held the names of all the children they needed presents for. He called out the location of their next stop, and the skeletons gleefully rattled, "Straight away, Hua Changju." "I think this must be the most fun they've had in ages," Xilian said. He was breathless as he flopped down next to Huachang, eyes twinkling. "Actually, I'm having a lot of fun too." "I'm glad to hear it, Gaga. You know," said Huachang, looking at the smudges of soot and ash on Xilian's flannels, "you could skip the chimney and take a minor distance shortening array straight inside." Xilian raised an eyebrow. "For all these many thousands of children? San Long, that would use an insane amount of spiritual power." This is Shansha, after all. "Would that be so bad? I've got plenty to share," murmured Huachang, leaning in. "They share spiritual power by kissing. It's a thing." Xilian's hand cupped Huachang's face.
It's the only way.
It's the only way.
It's the only
God
way.
damn it. Xilian's hand cupped Huachang's face, running it across his handsome cheekbones, moving a thumb down to his lip, before, hup, the sleigh jolted to a halt. Banue ahoy! The skeleton announced. Oh, right, yes, she does command snakes. I remember that now. Ahem, said Shilian, blushing. I'll just be a moment, then? He shuffled through the stack of presents before finding the one he needed. The box was wrapped in an elegant black and gold pattern, though unlike some of the other packages, it had several small holes poked into the side. Shilian tucked the package into his pajamas and hopped down from the sleigh, heading towards the chimney. You know, it does make sense. In fact, it's the only thing
It's
that
the
makes
only
sense.
way.
It's the only way. In this case, it was actually a bit surreal for him to be coming down this way in this particular house, seeing as he knew the residents. After all the hubbub in the recent past, he had heard that General Pei the Younger and Banue Guoshi were living here together. He hadn't gotten the chance to visit yet, and almost got excited to see them until he realized that this probably didn't count. Their chimney was an unusually tight fit, and he really had to inch his way down bit by bit. At the bottom, Shilian tiptoed over the last warm ashes of the night's fire and emerged into the living room. He had just managed to suppress coughing out a smoke ring from the crammed chimney when he gave a small, involuntary yelp at the sight of a coiled scorpion snake guarding the Christmas tree. Though it was a small sound, this roused the individual who'd made herself a nest on the couch. A familiar girl lay... Oh, my fire! Okay, thank you.
What a pretty fire.
What a pretty fire. A familiar girl lay nestled amongst the pillows with an open book on her lap. Seemingly, she had made the classic mistake of reading to keep herself awake. Roused by Shilian's noise, she shoved the book aside and sat up with a look of groggy excitement. Santa Claus? Is that you? Shilian immediately flipped himself around to face the fireplace and lowered his voice a notch. Ho ho ho! Yes, it's me! I say, shouldn't you be in bed, little one? I know I shouldn't have, but I wanted to see for myself if you were real. Gaga thinks you're just a children's story. It's a common misconception, but I am in fact definitely the real thing, and I'm here to give you your gift for all the good deeds you did this year. He set the box down on the ground gingerly, sliding it over near where that snake was coiled. Tell your Gaga that you saw me fair and square, Shilian chuckled nervously. I will, Banyu exclaimed. Her eyes wandered towards the gift that Shilian had plunked down. Her scorpion snake had tasted the box curiously with its tongue, and was now slithering languidly over to Shilian, eyeing him up and down. It showed no aggression, and even seemed quite relaxed around him, such that, for a moment, he forgot himself and reached out to pat its head in the same way that he might pat Roya. Banue mused from the couch in an impressed tone. She really seems to like you. There are only a few people she won't hiss at when she meets them. Shilian quickly withdrew his hand. He was still facing the fireplace away from her, but Banue was dangerously close to discovering his true identity. He opened the grate once more and began clambering in to climb back up to the sleigh. Hey, Mr. Santa? Came Banue's voice from behind him. Hmm? Do you always just wear your pajamas? Ah ha ha ho ho ho! Shilian decided. The last moment, the mystery was the better part of valor, and shot straight up the chimney. Back in the den, a small forked tongue poked curiously out of one of the holes in the side of Banue's gift box. After having made his way back up the chimney, Shilian crawled into the sleigh and let out that smoke ring he needed to cough up for some time now. I added that, a little
I like
audiobook flourish.
Yeah.
Now that was a close call, he muttered under his breath, sinking down in the seat. Luckily, I don't think there are many other children who could recognize me like this. There was an ominous silence next to him. Shilian heard the rustling of parchment and shut up, peering over at the list of names, then turning back to look at Huachang's face. The expression that Huachang wore was unreadable and complicated, and Shilian nearly saw that down the list was the name Tuosuo, and next to it the designation Naughty. Shilian, I don't know how to explain this. He hummed, and drew
He
that.
said,
He said, If you know, you know. And drew that black fur blanket all the way up past his nose so that only his eyes could peek out. With the short command, Hua Chong flicked those reins again. She. The end of chapter 3. Any thoughts? Any commentary?
No. Do you want to hold this?
I would love to hold. What is this?
It's like a worry stone, but it's Amsicum. It was in that gift box that we had to divvy up.
Oh yeah.
I got
like gift box.
a little gift basket at work, but like with the person that I share an office with. And it wasn't like a normal like 2 of everything. It was like a similar of everything, but not quite. And so we had to like decide who would get what, which is very silly. So
it's got a pleasant texture.
But she didn't want either of them, so I have another one at work. This one's for home.
Nice.
I got tired in my mind. Okay. Oh, this is my favorite chapter title. I think it's so funny. Chapter 4. Chapter 4. What child is this?
Question mark, exclamation point.
Jianlan's chimney was not nearly as difficult as Banyue and Peisu's had been. Xielian was birthed straight out. Why did you write this?
I don't know.
Xielian was birthed straight out onto a stone hearth that had long since chilled. In fact, a fire had been lit at all. As he looked around, the house appeared so run down that Xielian might have thought it was abandoned, but for the string of ghost lights that had been strung up along the perimeter of the room. Xielian's heart twisted painfully with complicated feelings. Compared to some of the children's houses he'd been to tonight, which were warm, soft, and filled to the brim with holiday cheer, this was cold, hard, and dark. But he could still see the signs of love here. The floor was carefully swept. Next to a small plate of treats on the dining table were a few painstakingly wrapped gifts labeled Suo. He reached into his bag and pulled out the ghost child's gift, carefully tucking it on the side with the others. A soft rustling sound came from the other side of the room, and Xielian whipped around. Wham! Who was this punching him straight on the head? It couldn't be Jianlan, was it? Your Highness? Sorry, there's a cat.
Cat has arrived.
Xielian blinked, rubbing his temple. He knew that voice. Function? Function's mouth.
Mouth?
Function's mouth hung open slightly before he remembered who he was talking to, and closed it. What are you doing here? I thought you were a creep, lurking in here with that sooty getup. I'm delivering gifts for Christmas Eve. I'm delivering gifts for Christmas Eve. A Santa Claus substitute, Xielian said, gesturing to the now empty bag in his hands. What the hell? Didn't you get the memo? Santa's just a fairy tale, Function said incredulously. Xielian shook his head. He's just about as real as a heavenly official or a ghost. But he had a rather untimely accident with some joyous festival cookies earlier tonight. A long, strenuously awkward moment passed before Function scoffed and moved towards the dining table. Blah. That's my scoff that I made up.
I like it. Now let's do the painfully awkward moment. Perfect.
I've decided I don't want to know, but if that's what you're up to, then... He cast his gaze over to the gift Xielian had left and narrowed his eyes suspiciously. I don't suppose my son made any nice lists. This had better not be a piece of fucking coal.
There's our one fuck we were allowed.
Yeah, I know there's more though.
I know there are more
trucks. No, he ain't cheese. Xielian waved his hands quickly to dispel any misconceptions. No, not at all. That is, I did find some coal in the sleigh, but that's not what I gave to Tsuotsu. I actually came up with a different idea. Function said nothing. Instead, he grabbed the box and lifted the top off carefully, revealing a tiny cornucopia of fresh vegetables inside. I asked the Rainmaster if I could have some of these to give out to those who are on the naughty list. I thought it was a good compromise, Xielian said quietly. I didn't want to give anyone anything shameful. At least this is healthy, so it really is a good gift, even if radishes aren't exactly on a child's wish list. Gritting his teeth, Function murmured, "This makes it look like my family needs help just feeding themselves." His breath hitched slightly at the end of the sentence. But I didn't do that, because that came after, so I didn't know.
That's right.
Don't say that. I know Jianlan won't accept charity from you or anyone. Isn't that why you're here, to disguise your own gift as one from Santa Claus? She'd hardly be able to reject it that way. The two of them exchanged knowing glances. After so many years of closeness, they simply knew each other too well. Feng Shen's facial expression was one of anger, but Shilian could see a tiny shimmer at the corners of his eyes, which was swiftly blinked away. Before either of them could say anything else, for the second time that night, Shilian was caught on the head by another attack!
Oh my god!
But this time it wasn't Feng Shen. His friend stood watching in horror as Tsotso, cheeky boy that he was, leaped out of the shadows and gnashed his elongated teeth onto Jilian's head.
Cheeky boy!
Cheeky boy that he was!
Cheeky boy that he was!
Tsotso, no! Feng Shen lunged for his baby boy, grabbing the creature around his pudgy middle and giving him a hefty pull. Tsotso was dragged away, chattering incessantly.
Continue.
Okay. As his final act, he reached out a long, slimy tongue and gave Shilian a wet willy with it, before clinging to his father's chest with tiny, sharp hands. The weird baby glared over his shoulder as if to say, "You made my dad cry, now pay up."
God, this is good.
If I do say so myself. Although the Feng family's combination punch and bite caused Shilian's head to throb somewhat, overall it wasn't such a bad injury. Shilian wondered once again about Santa Claus's spiritual powers, because tell you what, this was a pretty dangerous job. Just imagine if he'd also run astray of Banyui's scorpion snake. He put his hands together and bowed to the two of them. "I hope you both have a Merry Christmas, and your mother too," he said meaningfully to Tsotso, who stuck out his tongue. The remainder of the night was significantly less eventful. For one thing, while Shilian had been away, Hua Chang had found a secret compartment in the sleigh that contained several spare Santa robes to enhance Shilian's disguise. They also didn't happen to run into anyone else they knew on the list, and the several other naughty ghost children that Shilian encountered that night could easily be tempted to chomp on a daikon rather than on his head. It was hard work, but by the time they had finished up with the last person on the list, dawn was just barely beginning to lighten the horizon. Shilian once again leaned against Hua Chang, blinking sleepily. In his life, he'd gone through a lot of long, busy nights, but this one was still one for the books. "Gaga, are you alright?" "Yes, Sunlong, I'm fine," Shilian murmured sleepily. "I'm glad that when everyone wakes up tomorrow, it will really be as if Santa came himself. And the view is beautiful from up here." Hua Chang kissed the top of his head. "You know I'm ready to whisk you away on an adventure whenever you like," he said. "I'll take you up on that," Shilian said. He snuggled his face into Hua Chang's shoulder and closed his eyes. It was only for a moment, but he was completely knocked out and fell asleep almost as soon as his lashes met.
Wow. Isn't that beautiful?
Isn't that beautiful?
Okay,
what were
I
you
would
gonna say, please?
Yes, my interstitial, my chapter 4 to 5 interstitial comment.
Where did that guy go?
Is doesn't Tsotso remind you of the evil baby from Berserk?
Yes.
I hadn't read Berserk obviously when I read.
No, when you first showed me the evil baby from Berserk, I was like, oh, like
Oh.
that. Like,
Okay,
that's
cool.
what-
I'm glad that you had made the connection a long time ago. I only made the connection when he grabbed his pudgy middle and dragged him away.
Yeah, evil ghost baby.
Because I was like, you know who else bites and have a pudgy middle?
Who else you could describe as the weird baby?
The weird baby?
So when Luna first wrote this and I read it, I had not read any Qiangguan Sifu, and so had no idea who any of these people were or anything that was going on at all. So
Much like some of you, I imagine.
much like some of you, and I did not understand what was going on in there. So I really remembered like the weird baby line because I was like, who's this weird baby?
Yeah, I was.
And
kidding.
also the question, what child is this?
What
I really
child is
like,
this?
what child is this?
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what happened to me.
Yeah. Oh god, I have to read the part of Santa Claus in this chapter. Okay, this is the final chapter, by the way. Chapter 5's final chapter.
Chapter 5, the final chapter. the
Actually,
fifth
it's
chapter.
not chapter 5, chapter 5.
I was making a yoke.
Oh, well, anyway. What is a joke? Okay. I'm ready. I am. Chapter 5. An aside. Father for Christmas. Winka Wonka. Oh, Goozy woke up slowly and laid in bed for what felt like a long time before he blearily opened his eyes. This is a child, by the way. I should note. A small child. He looked over at his froggy nightstand to check what time it was. I think this is also when we were playing Animal Crossing, so I was probably like, froggy, you know, the froggy-themed nightstand, froggy chair, froggy everything. He couldn't read very well, but he knew it must still be nighttime. The light display in the frog's mouth turned green when it was time to get up, and this display was currently a pinkish red. Uncle had mostly gotten him a frog-shaped clock because it was green. In fact, Goozy insisted on almost everything in his room being green. He said that it was because this was his dad's favorite color. Whenever he had conjured up those little balls of ghost fire, those had always been green. Uncle got a strange look on his face whenever Goozy talked about his dad, but he never denied Goozy anything that he asked for. The boy was at least happy for that, but there was still a gaping hole in his heart, and every night he would sit on his knees, put his hands together, and talk to the shimmering green lantern that he'd been told contained his dad's spirit. Crawling out of bed, Goozy tightly hugged that lantern, which sat silently upon the nightstand. He then slid his feet into a pair of slippers and crept out into the hallway. If Santa had come by now, maybe he could get a sneak peek at his presents before anyone else woke up. And Mootgrin, you're not as far off as you could have been with that guess. He padded silently across the carpet and then came to an abrupt halt, heart racing, when he saw that someone was sitting in the couch in the living room. Santa Claus? He breathed, astonished. The man jumped a little bit, seeming startled, but when he turned, sure enough, he had kindly crinkles at the corners of his eyes, cheeks round from smiling, and a pair of slightly bent spectacles sitting on the end of his nose. He beamed at Goozy and gestured to the cushion beside him. That's right, young man. Come on over. Goozy pattered over to the couch. He jumped onto the cushion, wiggling his feet, which were warm and cozy in the snowflake-patterned onesie he wore to bed. Did you put the presents under the tree yet? Goozy asked. Yes, look just there. Can I pet your reindeer? Perhaps, if you promise to keep it our little secret. Do you want the rest of those milk and cookies? No, absolutely not. Goozy fell silent for a moment, gazing at his feet. Santa was used to the sight of a child with something on their mind and could see how quiet and sad Goozy was in that moment. He rested a hand on the boy's shoulder. Child, is there something else you want to ask for? For Christmas? The boy nodded. He didn't say anything at first, but the old man still sat with him. They watched the twinkling lights on the tree together until finally Goozy whispered, I want my dad. Santa nodded, stroking his beard with a thoughtful hand. Several long minutes passed. Goozy's eyes welled up with tears, and he pushed them away in frustration. Once he said it, he realized that he couldn't stop. The words just kept tumbling out. I want my dad, I want my dad, I want my dad, he whimpered. I know, child.
Poor Santa. Really gotten fucked up.
I promise I will see what I can do. But he has been gone for a long time. The two of them sat together while Goozy cried out his request over and over, Santa Claus holding space for this sad, sad boy. Until finally, the tears and exhaustion sent him back to sleep there on the couch. Santa cast a glance over at the clock on the wall. 4:30 a.m. Rosy lips turned up in a smile, and he laid the couch's knit throw across Goozy's shoulders. Those two who had gone in his stead should be back soon, so there was no time to waste in fulfilling this year's final Christmas wish. He exhaled as he lifted himself up off the couch. He was still rather woozy from those joyous festivity cookies, Dear gods, in all the houses he'd visited over the years, he'd never experienced anything quite like that. So he put out a hand to steady himself. And he made his way to Goozy's room and picked up the lantern that was glowing softly on the nightstand.
Do you wish to give an interview?
Yes, there's a cat. Val, do you have anything you would like to say to the good people? No. Okay. He might later.
He might say some stuff, but he won't say it into the microphone.
Yeah, he won't say it if he thinks you're listening.
Yeah. Ow. Oh! He put his toe in my leg. He didn't mean to.
When Shilian and Huachang arrived home, they found the reindeer gone and a small parchment note on the roof that simply said, "The elves will come by for the sleigh tomorrow. Merry Christmas and a ho ho ho." However, nothing could have prepared these two for what was waiting for them when they came back inside. For in the den, sitting next to the boughs of the Christmas tree, was a lithe, slightly greasy man, sporting handsome features that mirrored Shilian's just so. That white silk band Roya, who was aghast at this man's appearance, had wrapped him up several times to trap him and tied itself in a secure bow on top of his head. However, although it was meant as a restraining measure, with the man's emerald green robes, this only made him look exactly like a wrapped-up Christmas present. An expression of horror and glee spread across Chirong's face as Shilian and Huachang stepped in, Shilian wearing a set of sooty Santa Claus robes. Would you like to read the last line?
Would you like me to
I
read
would
the
like
last
you,
line?
please, yes.
What the fuck?
The end. Goozy got his father back. That's the power of Santa.
That's the power of love and Christmas. The Christmas miracle.
It is a Christmas miracle.
Here's what I want to say.
Yeah.
Is that I don't know if it's just what happens when you write a Christmassy story, but something about it. Y'all know about the Latka who couldn't stop screaming.
Please say yes.
Do you know him?
What
do you know him?
What is it about him?
Latka? Well,
that you're thinking of.
Something about the writing in the Latka who couldn't stop screaming, where you're like talking about Christmas stuff in a funny way. I don't know. It just is reminiscent. Well,
yeah.
He's giving me a very intense look. And his claws are out, and his bobbies are big.
Yeah.
And he was looking at me like...
He's sitting on the back of my chair. He's very handsome.
Yes.
Val, I mean.
Yes.
Not
me.
Me. You want to perch up there?
I want to kiss him, but I don't want to get in frame. I'm covering my head so that Jen doesn't see my head. Or whatever.
Yeah.
So I have to kiss his snuggie.
Yeah, kissing him.
You're so special. I think actually our copy of the Latka Who Couldn't Stop Screaming is up here.
Oh, it might be.
I put all the children's books up here. They're in there.
Oh, I see. Well, that's Hurry Down the Chimney by yours truly from 2020. The addendum, which I didn't print out, but I think I remember what it says. The addendum, chapter 6 on AO3, is the recipe for the non-poisonous version of Joyous Festivity cookies, which is a sugar cookie recipe from my great-grandma. It's old, but it's what we have used forever. And soon I will be making some of those, and I will be forcing Joe to decorate them. I will also be decorating them, but I consider it a joy.
I like to do it, and then here's the thing. Here's the thing. Is that...
Please say.
Her family won't let me get up from the table until all of the cookies have been frosted. And this recipe makes so many fucking cookies.
So many.
And her aunt will come by and be like, okay, there's 12 more. You take 4, and you take 4, and you take 4. And I'm gonna take this one, and But here's the thing, here's what happens, is you start off intricate, delicate, you have a vision. You're like, this Santa has a BBL.
Oh, yeah.
Remember BBL Santa?
I should find a picture of BBL Santa and put him in the Discord.
Which is a cookie cutter that's Santa with a sack, but the sack looks like a butt.
Yes.
Big butt.
Yes.
Or you're like, I'm gonna decorate this tree-shaped one with beautiful, beautiful little sprinkles in these exact spots. And then...
it degenerates, I would say.
So you have someone saying, no, you have to do all of them. You have to do all of them. And you just gotta start putting... Anyway, I like to do it, but...
Yeah, I think for me, it's like the first, I don't know, 4 cookies, I would say. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make a tree, I'm gonna make Santa, I'm gonna make a star, and I'm gonna make a wreath. And then I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. And then it all just sort of goes downhill.
Also, he's had like 30 years of doing this every year to practice.
Yeah.
I'm Jewish.
Yeah, you've only been doing it for the last, like, maybe
I've only done
years.
Yeah. And so, and when we're doing, like, Christmas with her family, it's, like, the full recipe. But when we're doing Christmas not with her family, it's just the 2 of us.
But
and she insists on making a full recipe. One time she said, I'll make half. And I said, what if you just make a quarter? And she said, no.
I did say that.
And then there were so
like This is, yes. So for posterity, the record, I celebrate Christmas purely secularly. My family is not religious.
I did not know what you were going to say.
I
got confused because your mouth got stuck on the word secular.
But that is the lead in to the statement that this is my culture. The Christmas cookies are the culture, and that is just the way it is. Also, I don't get presents anymore, so it's like the one thing that I do for Christmas now is make the cookies and decorate the cookies.
I got you a pastry paintbrush yesterday.
That is true. They can be neat gifts. They do make good gifts. You bring a plate of the best looking ones to someone that you love, and then you eat the
fucked up looking ones. I'm really excited about what I'm gonna make this year.
You showed it to me, right?
Flags.
Yeah, flags. Yeah, from the table.
Legs with eggs.
With eggs.
Eggs with legs. Flags.
Yes.
Go listen to Friends at the Table.
Yeah, everyone should be listening to Friends at the Table.
Including Luna.
Including me.
Guess who doesn't listen to fucking Friends at the Table?
I have in the past listened to Friends at the Table,
and you listen to almost all
everything that I listen to everything else
shows.
they do except for Friends at the Table proper, which is not a reflection on the podcast itself, but rather on my attention span and mental problems, which I feel, but soon I will.
Okay. Yeah. Eggs with legs.
Yeah.
The urge to plug Friends at the Table merch right now is
it's we listen to a lot of Friends at the Table.
Friends at the Table.
Yeah.
It's
okay. I'll shill for them.
We can shill for them. Those are our listen. If I'm gonna be in a parasocial relationship with anyone, everyone gets one.
Everyone does get one.
Everyone gets one, and it's my best friends. Friends at the Table.
Yes. I'm gonna put this down. I'm glad I printed it out in case God forbid anything happens to AO3. Knock on wood. But I feel better printing it out because I don't know that I have the Word doc anymore.
That's so scary to think about.
It is. I think, well, that only took an hour. I did think it might take a little longer than that.
I
but
read fast.
That's true. I think I also read a little bit fast. I have another story that I would like to read to the chat. You're welcome to join me if you
I want to
wish.
hang out.
Yeah, you
Do
can
you
with
need
me.
more hot chalky?
I have been talking, so I have not been drinking it very fast, but I would like to go to the bathroom.
Do you want me to heat yours back up? Is it cold?
Let me see. No, it's still warm. It's been insulated by marshmallows. The marshmallow layer on top.
That's so nice.
Yeah. Would you like to hang out with the stream while I pee? Or shall I put us on the BRB screen?
These are strangers. I'm scared.
This is true. I'll send us to the BRB screen. I'll run the ad. Boo! So that people don't get pre-rolls. And I'll see you guys in a few minutes, and we're gonna read. This is also a Christmas story. I promise it's a Christmas story. It's very tonally different from the one we just read, so beware. But
I have not read this before. I don't know what this is.
It amuses me. I find it funny, but Clive Barker could do anything, and I would eat it with a spoon. This is The Yattering and Jack. It is a about 20-page short story by Clive Barker from Books of Blood. It is a Christmas story. It's rather crude, but you guys
Would you
know
like a
I don't care
bookmark?
about that. No, I'm okay with my paper towels. Okay, I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back.
Oh.
Hello.
I tried to tell you guys something while Luna was in the bathroom,
Yeah.
but my message failed to send. I thought that I had gotten auto-modded by my own wife, even though I sent it from here.
Nah.
But I just wanted to tell you that the gamer neighbor said, yeah, and then he said, let's fucking go.
Let's fucking go.
Let's fucking
That's
go,
right.
indeed.
Okay, so my question for you is, would you have any desire to read any of this
I cannot
out
do a
loud?
cold read. I'm not cold reading.
Okay.
Oh, but there's a big bug on the
There
ground.
is a big bug on the ground.
I know he is a bug.
I know he is a bug. Alright. I have the book. I'm gonna drink some more water, so for reading purposes.
She said to me, you're always It's just that,
It's just that I'm the refiller of your water.
Yeah.
So it seems that way.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any preface that I need to do? Here, let me
oh yeah, put the thing.
put what we are now reading, and this is will you hold my book?
The
There we go. This is what we're currently reading. This is a second portion of this reading, and who knows how long this one will take. I truly don't know, but I suspect about as long as the first.
I'm gonna get a stuffed animal.
Joe's getting a stuffed
Do you
animal.
want one?
Is it a wormy?
I could get you a wormy, but it'll take me several minutes to.
That's okay. I can vamp while you get a wormy.
I mean, I wasn't gonna get a wormy.
I would love.
Which one do you?
Bear.
Bear.
Bear. Bear is the best wormy. If you guys are not familiar with wormies, they are these awesome stuffed animals that you put in the microwave. They have like, I think it's flaxseed or something in them, and lavender, and yeah, you just microwave them and they sit in your lap and they're warm. And it's awesome. I'm sure there are other brands of it, but Wormies is the brand that we have. We have a bear, we have a goose, and we have a dinosaur. And yeah, so I'm getting a bear wormy. And then I will commence this story. I feel like this story may turn out to be awkward to read because Clive is always saying random stuff that is so weird. And I do not think this story will be an exception. It has been about a year since I read this in our old apartment, so it's been 2 years. I guess I must have read it the year before this, in like, I think I read it around Christmas. So it's been about 2 years since I read this story. I don't remember what's in it. I've had a long-seated desire to read Clive Barker on the stream because I fucking love this man. And I don't know why I love his writing so much, but it really just tickles me. And but there are many of his stories that I would not feel comfortable reading out loud for various reasons. Although I feel like not as awkward as, say, reading like Lovecraft out loud is not awkward in that way. It's awkward in a different way. There are a lot more penises in Clive Barker stories than in H.P. Lovecraft stories, which are better than the stuff that's in Lovecraft stories that you can't read on stream. There are people who do like read aloud streams that read Lovecraft, and I have to wonder, I've never listened to them because, like I said, I have an attention span that is of a small size, a very small size, and so unless it's someone who I am already used to listening to them talk a lot, I don't usually listen to like just straight up reading streams, or whatever. But like I know people read, because mostly I think people try to read things that are in the public domain, which is smart because, you know, then there's also the people who try to read like Tolkien on stream and then they get, you know, court order from the Tolkien estate or whatever, or, you know, it just gets taken down. So I think that most people try to read things that are in the public domain, and, you know, every year obviously there's more and more things in the public domain that are more modern, I guess, although it's kind of the same because it's like still 100 years ago. I don't know. But I know a lot of people choose, you know, they choose Frankenstein, Dracula, Carmilla, like all interesting stuff, and then some people choose to read H.P. Lovecraft on stream. And I say, how you doing that, man? How are you doing that, my guy? You have to censor about 50% of the words that you say. I don't know.
I like that tweet that like H.P. Lovecraft would get scared if he saw an Italian.
Yeah, that's so true.
Is he sufficiently warmy?
He is, thank you.
I have brought dog.
Yay!
And a blankie.
Excellent. I'll be reading this for you for the first time as well. Alright. I'm hearing my pup. Why the powers, long may they hold court, long may they shit light on the heads of the damned, it's already beginning, had sent it out from hell to stalk Jack Polo, the Yattering couldn't discover. Whenever he passed a tentative inquiry along the system to his master, just asking the simple question, "What am I doing here?" it was answered with a swift rebuke for its curiosity. None of its business, came the reply. Its business was to do, or die trying. And after 6 months of pursuing Polo, the Yattering was beginning to see extinction as an easy option. This endless game of hide-and-seek was to nobody's benefit, and the Yattering's immense frustration. It feared ulcers, it feared psychosomatic leprosy, condition lower demons like itself were susceptible to. Worst of all, it feared losing its temper completely, and killing the man outright in an uncontrollable fit of pique. What was Jack Polo, anyway? A gherkin importer. By the balls of Leviticus, he was simply a gherkin importer. His life was worn out, his family was dull, his politics were simple-minded, and his theology non-existent. The man was a no-account, one of nature's blankest little numbers. Why bother with the likes of him? This wasn't a Faust, a pact maker, a soul seller. This one wouldn't look twice at the chance of divine inspiration. He'd sniff, shrug, and get on with his gherkin importing. Yet the Yattering was bound to that house, long night and longer day, until he had the man a lunatic, or as good as. It was going to be a lengthy job, if not interminable. Yes, there were times when even psychosomatic leprosy would be bearable if it meant being invalided off this impossible mission. For his part, Jack J. Polo continued to be the most unknowing of men. He had always been that way. Indeed, his history was littered with the victims of his naivete. When his late, lamented wife had cheated on him, he'd been in the house on at least 2 of the occasions, watching the television, he was the last one to find out, and the clues they'd left behind them. A blind, deaf, and dumb man would have become suspicious, not Jack. He pottered about his dull business and never noticed the tang of the adulterer's cologne, nor the abnormal regularity with which his wife changed the bed linen. He was no less disinterested in events when his younger daughter, Amanda, confessed her lesbianism to him. His response was a sigh and a puzzled look. "Well, as long as you don't get pregnant, darling," he replied, and sauntered off into the garden blithe as ever. What chance did a fury have with a man like that? To a creature trained to put its meddling fingers into the wounds of the human psyche, Polo offered a surface so glacial, so utterly without distinguishing marks, as to deny malice any hold whatsoever. Events seemed to make no dent in his perfect indifference. His life's disasters seemed not to scar his mind at all. When, eventually, he was confronted with the truth about his wife's infidelity, he found them screwing in the bath, he couldn't bring himself to be hurt or humiliated. "These things happen," he said to himself, backing out of the bathroom to let them finish what they'd started. "Che sera, sera. Che sera, sera." The man uttered that damn phrase with monotonous regularity. He seemed to live by that philosophy of fatalism, letting attacks on his manhood, ambition, and dignity slid off his ego like rainwater from his bald head. The Yattering had heard Polo's wife confess all to her husband. It was hanging upside down from the light fitting, invisible as ever, and the scene had made it wince. There was the distraught sinner begging to be accused, bawled at, struck even, and instead of giving her the satisfaction of his hatred, Polo had just shrugged and let her say her piece without a word of interruption until she had no more to unbosom. She left, at length, more out of frustration and sorrow than guilt. The Yattering had heard her tell the bathroom mirror how insulted she was at her husband's lack of righteous anger. A little while after, she'd flung herself off the balcony of the Roxy Cinema. Her suicide was in some ways convenient for the Fury. With the wife gone and the daughters away from home, it could plan for more elaborate tricks to unnerve its victim without ever having to concern itself with revealing its presence to creatures the powers had not marked for attack. But the absence of the wife left the house empty during the days, and that soon became a burden of boredom the Yattering found scarcely supportable. The hours from 9 to 5 alone in the house often seemed endless. It would mope and wander, planning bizarre and impractical revenges upon the Polo man, pacing the rooms, heartsick, companioned only by the clicks and whirs of the house as the radiators cooled, or the refrigerator switched itself on and off. The situation rapidly became so desperate that the arrival of the midday post became the high point of the day, and an unshakable melancholy would settle on the Yattering if the postman had nothing to deliver and passed by to the next house. When Jack returned, the games would begin in earnest. The usual warm-up routine. He would meet Jack at the door and prevent his key from turning in the lock. The contest would go on for a minute or two until Jack accidentally found the measure of the Yattering's resistance and won the day. Once inside, it would start all the lampshades swinging. The man would usually ignore this performance, however violent the motion. Perhaps he might shrug and murmur, "Substance," under his breath. Then, inevitably, "Che sera, sera." In the bathroom, the Yattering would have squeezed toothpaste around the toilet seat and have plugged up the shower head with soggy toilet paper. It would even share the shower with Jack, hanging unseen from the rail that held up the shower curtain and murmuring obscene suggestions in his ear. That was always successful. The demons were taught at the academy. The obscenities in the ear routine never failed to distress clients, making them think they were conceiving of these pernicious acts themselves and driving them to self-disgust, then to self-rejection, and finally to madness. Of course, in a few cases, the victims would be so inflamed by these whispered suggestions that they'd go out on the streets and act upon them. Under such circumstances, the victim would often be arrested and incarcerated. Prison would lead to further crimes, and crimes? Woo, crimes? Prison would lead to further crimes and a slow dwindling of moral reserves, and the victory was won by that route. One way or the other, insanity would win. Except that, for some reason, this rule did not apply to Polo. He was unperturbable, a tower of propriety. Indeed, the way things were going, the Yattering would be the one to break. It was tired, so very tired. Endless days of tormenting the cat, reading the funnies in yesterday's newspaper, watching the game shows, they drained the fury. Lately, it had developed a passion for the woman who lived across the street from Polo. She was a young widow, and seemed to spend most of her life parading around the house stark naked. It was almost unbearable sometimes, in the middle of a day when the postman failed to call, watching the woman and knowing it could never cross the threshold of Polo's house. This was the law. The Yattering was a minor demon, and his soul-catching was strictly confined to the parameters of his victim's house. To step outside was to relinquish all powers over the victim, to put itself at the mercy of humanity. All of June and all of July and most of August is sweated in its prison, and all through those bright, hot months, Jack Polo maintained complete indifference to the Yattering's attacks. It was deeply embarrassing, and it was gradually destroying the demon's self-confidence, seeing this bland victim survive every trial and trick attempted upon him. The Yattering wept. The Yattering screamed. In a fit of uncontrollable anguish, it boiled the water in the aquarium, poaching the guppies. Polo heard nothing, saw nothing. And there's a little break in the text, so I'm going to drink some water. A little time skip coming up. It's possible that there might be a cat that dies in this story, just in case anyone doesn't like that. I mean, obviously I don't like that either, but if that's a problem for you, I believe there's, the next section has a bit of animal cruelty, so prepare yourself or leave or whatever you have to do. Not like, get the fuck out, but, you know, take care of yourself. At last, in late September, the Yattering broke one of the first rules of its condition and appealed directly to its masters. Autumn is Hell's season, and the demons of the higher denominations were feeling benign. They condescended to speak to their creature. "What do you want?" asked Beelzebub, his voice blackening the air in the lounge. "This man," the Yattering began nervously. "Yes," my Beelzebub voice.
Yo.
"This Polo." "Yes." "I am without issue upon him. I can't get panic upon him. I can't breed fear or even mild concern upon him. I am sterile, Lord of the Flies, and I wish to be put out of my misery." For a moment, Beelzebub's face formed in the mirror over the mantelpiece. "You want what?" Beelzebub was part elephant, part wasp. The Yattering was terrified. I want to die." "You cannot die." "From this world. Just die from this world. Fade away. Be replaced." "You will not die." "But I can't break him," the Yattering shrieked, tearful. "You must." "Why?" "Because we tell you to." Beelzebub always used the royal we, though unqualified to do so. "Let me at least know why I'm in this house," the Yattering appealed. "What is he? Nothing. He's nothing." Beelzebub found this rich. He laughed, buzzed, trumpeted. Jack Johnson Polo is the child of a worshipper at the Church of Lost Salvation. He belongs to us. But why should you want him? He's so dull. We want him because his soul was promised to us, and his mother did not deliver it, or herself come to that. She cheated us. She died in the arms of a priest, and was safely escorted to... The word that followed was anathema. The Lord of Flies could barely bring himself to pronounce it. Heaven, said Beelzebub with infinite loss in his voice. Then said the Yattering, not knowing quite what was meant by the word. Polo is to be hounded in the name of the Old One, and punished for his mother's crimes. No torment is too profound for a family that has cheated us. I'm tired, the Yattering pleaded, daring to approach the mirror. Please, I beg you. Claim this man, said Beelzebub, or you will suffer in his place. The figure in the mirror waved its black and yellow trunk and faded. Where is your pride, said the master's voice as it shriveled into the distance. Pride, Yattering. Pride. Then he was gone. In its frustration, the Yattering picked up the cat and threw it into the fire. Here we go. It gets a little worse. Where it was rapidly cremated. If only the law allowed such easy cruelty to be visited upon human flesh, it thought. If only. If only. Then it'd make Polo suffer such torments. But no. The Yattering knew the laws as well as the back of its hand. They had been flayed onto its exposed cortex as a fledgling demon by its teachers. And Law 1 stated, Thou shalt not lay palm upon thy victims. It had never been told why this law pertained, but it did. Thou shalt not... So the whole painful process continued. Day in, day out, and still the man showed no sign of yielding. Over the next few weeks, the Yattering killed 2 more cats that Polo brought home to replace his treasured Freddy, now Ash. The first of these poor victims was drowned in the toilet bowl one idle Friday afternoon. It was a petty satisfaction to see the look of distaste register on Polo's face as he unzipped his fly and glanced down. But any pleasure the Yattering took in Jack's discomfiture was cancelled out by the blithely efficient way in which the man dealt with the cat, hoisting the bundle of soaking fur out of the pan, wrapping it in a towel, and burying it in the back garden with scarcely a murmur. I think he continues to kill another cat. We can skip that part. Polo assumes it's dogs and continues not to give a fuck. Damn dogs, he said. Damn dogs. There was anger in his voice. Yes, exulted the Yattering, anger. The man was upset. There was clear evidence of emotion on his face. Elated, the demon raced through the house. It determined to capitalize on its victory. It opened and slammed every door. It smashed vases. It set the lampshades swinging. Polo cleaned up the cat. The Yattering threw itself downstairs, tore up a pillow, impersonated a thing with a limp and an appetite for human flesh in the attic, and giggling. Polo just buried Freddy 3 beside the grave of Freddy 2 and the ashes of Freddy 1. He then retired to bed without his pillow. The demon was utterly stumped. If the man could not raise more than a flicker of concern when his cat was exploded in the dining room, what chance had it got of ever breaking the bastard? There was one last opportunity left. It was approaching Christ's Mass. Yes, that's right. Christ's Mass. And
I was about to ask because I was like, long in there.
Yeah, it's happening. It's Christmas.
Christ's Mass.
It was approaching Christ's Mass. I'll approach Christ's Mass. No, just kidding. And Jack's children would be coming home to the bosom of the family.
The bosom of the family.
The bosom of the family. Perhaps they could convince him that all was not well with the world. Perhaps they could get their fingernails under his flawless indifference and begin to break him down. Hoping against hope, the Yattering sat out the weeks to late December, planning its attacks with all the imaginative malice it could muster. Meanwhile, Jack's life sauntered on. He seemed to live apart from his experience, living his life as an author might write a preposterous story, never involving himself in the narrative too deeply. In several significant ways, however, he showed his enthusiasm for the coming holiday. He cleared his daughter's rooms immaculately. He made their beds up with sweet-smelling linen. He cleaned every speck of blood out of the carpet. He even set up a Christmas tree in the lounge, hung with iridescent balls, tinsel, and presents. Once in a while, as he went about the preparations, Jack thought of the game he was playing, and quietly calculated the odds against him. In the days to come, he would have to measure not only his own suffering, but that of his daughters, against the possible victory. And always, when he made these calculations, the chance of victory seemed to outweigh the risks. So he continued to write his life, and waited. Snow came, soft pats of it against the windows, against the door. Children arrived to sing carols, and he was generous to them. It was possible for a brief time to believe in peace on earth. Late in the evening of the 23rd of December, the daughters arrived in a flurry of cases and kisses. The youngest, Amanda, arrived home first. From its vantage point in the landing, the Yattering viewed the young woman balefully. She didn't look like ideal material in which to induce a breakdown. In fact, she looked dangerous. Gina followed an hour or two later, a smoothly polished woman of the world at 24. She looked every bit as intimidating as her sister. They came into the house with their bustle and their laughter. They rearranged the furniture, they threw out the junk food in the freezer, they told each other and their father how much they had missed each other's company. Within the space of a few hours, the drab house was repainted with light and fun and love. It made the Yattering sick. Whimpering, it hid its head in the bedroom to block out the din of affection, but the shockwaves enveloped it. All it could do was sit and listen and refine its revenge. You ever been this person at a holiday gathering? You ever been like this? I know I have. Jack was pleased to have his beauties home. Amanda was so full of opinions and so strong, like her mother. Gina, more like his mother, poised, perceptive. He was so happy in their presence he could have wept, and here was he, the proud father, putting them both at such risk. But what was the alternative? If he had canceled the Christmas celebrations, it would have looked highly suspicious. It might even have spoiled his whole strategy, wakening the enemy to the trick that was being played. No, he must sit tight, play dumb the way the enemy had come to expect him to be. The time would come for action. Water. At 3:15 a.m. on Christmas morning, the Yattering opened hostilities by throwing Amanda out of bed. A paltry performance at best, but it had the intended effect. Sleepily rubbing her bruised head, she climbed back into bed, only to have the bed buck and shake and fling her off again like an unbroken colt. The noise woke the rest of the house. Gina was first in her sister's room. "What's going on?" "There's somebody under the bed." "What?" Gina picked up a paperweight from the dresser and demanded the assailant come out. The Yattering, invisible, sat on the window seat and made obscene gestures at the woman, tying knots in its genitalia. Yeah. Gina peered under the bed. The Yattering was clinging to the light fixture now, persuading it to swing backwards and forwards, making the room reel. "There's nothing here." "There is." Amanda knew. Oh, yes, she knew. "There's something here, Gina," she said. "Something in the room with us. I'm sure of it." No, Gina was absolute. It's empty. Amanda was searching behind the wardrobe when Polu came in. "What's all the din?" "There's something in the house, Daddy. I was thrown out of bed." Jack looked at the crumpled sheets, the dislodged mattress, then at Amanda. This was the first test. He must lie as casually as possible. "Looks like you've been having nightmares, Beauty," he said, affecting an innocent smile. "There was something under the bed," Amanda insisted. "There's nobody here now." "But I felt it." "Well, I'll check the rest of the house," he offered, without enthusiasm for the task. "You two stay here, just in case." As Polo left the room, the Yattering rocked the light a little more. "Subsidence," said Gina. It was cold downstairs, and Polo Polo could have done without padding around barefoot on the kitchen tiles, but he was quietly satisfied that the battle had been joined in such a petty manner. He'd half feared that the enemy would turn savage with such tender victims at hand, but no, he'd judged the mind of the creature quite accurately. It was one of the lower orders, powerful but slow, capable of being inveigled beyond the limits of its control. Carefully does it, he told himself. Carefully does it. He traipsed through the entire house, dutifully opening cupboards and peering behind the furniture, then returned to his daughters, who were sitting at the top of the stairs. Amanda looked small and pale, not the 22-year-old woman that she was, but a child again. Nothing doing, he told her with a smile. It's Christmas morning, and all through the house... Gina finished the rhyme. Nothing is stirring, not even a mouse. Not even a mouse, Beauty. At that moment, the Yattering took its cue to fling a vase off the lounge mantelpiece. Even Jack jumped. Shit, he said. He needed some sleep, but quite clearly the Yattering had no intention of letting them alone just yet. "Que sera, sera," he murmured, scooping up the pieces of the Chinese vase and putting them in a piece of newspaper. "The house is sinking a little on the left side, you know," he said more loudly. "Has been for years." "Subsidence," said Amanda with quiet certainty, "would not throw me out of my bed." Gina said nothing. The options were limited. The alternatives, unattractive. "Well, maybe it was Santa Claus," said Polo, attempting levity. He parceled up the pieces of the vase and wandered through into the kitchen, certain that he was being shadowed every step of the way. "What else can it be?" He threw the question over his shoulder as he stuffed the newspaper into the waste bin. "The only other explanation," here he became almost elated by his skimming so close to the truth, "the only other possible explanation is too preposterous for words." It was an exquisite irony, denying the existence of the invisible world in the full knowledge that even now it breathed vengefully down his neck. "You mean poltergeist?" said Gina. "I mean anything that goes in the bang. Goes bang in the night. Goes in the bang in the night and the... Oh. That was my mouth crashing and burning. But we're grown-up people, aren't we? We don't believe in boogeymen." "No," said Gina flatly. "I don't, but I don't believe the house is subsiding either." "Well, it'll have to do for now," said Jack with nonchalant finality. "Christmas starts here. We don't want to spoil it talking about gremlins, now do we?" They laughed together. Ha 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 ha. Gremlins. That surely bit deep. To call the hellspawn a gremlin. The Yattering, weak with frustration, acid tears boiling on its intangible cheeks, ground its teeth and kept its peace. There would be time yet to beat the atheistic smile off Jack Polo's smooth, fat face. Time aplenty. No half measures from now on. No subtlety. It would be an all-out attack. Let there be blood. Let there be agony. They would all break. And that's about halfway through, so I'm going to take some more water into my head.
That's what I call drinking.
Now that's what I call drinking.
That's what I call
Take a little reading break
into your head.
Take water into my head.
Take water into my head?
How are you doing over there?
Me?
Yeah.
Just hanging out.
Are you alive?
I got EP. I want to go get water also.
Can I have more in my cup?
You're always running out of water.
Thank you. Hope you guys are doing good as well out there in the chat, in the VOD. This one is a bit... You know, I was going to say this one is a bit wild, but it's actually kind of not as wild as the one that I wrote. But, as always, I love a Clive.
You're being more festive.
Mine was more festive. That's true. This one is a little more diabolical.
It's not that festive.
It's not very festive. It's about to get slightly more festive.
Where's the Christ in Christmas, guy?
We're gonna put the Christ in the Mass so soon. But yeah, I like to read aloud. I always have. So this is very fun for me. When I was a kid in like elementary school and stuff, and they would make us like read chapters of books aloud, and like, you know, each person around the classroom like would read a paragraph, and then you'd like go to the next person and stuff. I would always like hope that my paragraph was like a long paragraph so that I could read it for a while.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Even though I didn't like public speaking, but it was different because it's not my word.
Yeah.
It's not my content, or whatever. And I read a lot, so I was good at reading. And other people were...
Dude, other people are so bad at reading.
I don't want to throw shade on all the third graders in my class, but they were not as good as reading.
I guess I wasn't thinking about like elementary school. I was thinking about like having to do this in high school and like not really wanting it to be my turn, but feeling that it would be less painful if it were my turn.
Yeah, no, that's more how it felt in high school specifically, because yeah. But yeah, I don't know, I liked it, and I liked doing voices as well. This was the GM that I didn't know that was in me at the time. I liked reading like dialogue and like doing little voices.
We had to do in my 4th grade class, did a lot of like memorizing poetry, like a lot.
Yeah.
And a lot. I was like a very like poetry heavy year, I think, just because of that teacher.
Yeah.
And it actually wasn't this year, but maybe it was like 3rd grade. One of the projects we had was memorizing and then recording a folktale, and then like I think having to like perform it at like a bookstore or something for some reason. Yeah, just like in the children's section of like some store. I remember having to do it. It was like an event.
I never had to do it out in the world. I was only had to do that kind of thing in class.
But yeah, also like I'm doing like a little performance. I really enjoyed.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, now I only get to do that if I'm invited to read a book in a class.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's a tough crowd.
With the kids.
Yeah, I was reading an Elephant and Piggy story, which those are a big hit. And it's one where I can't remember which of them is doing which thing, but one of them is like, I want to show you something, but like we have to wait for it. And what he's like showing him is like the stars coming out, so they have to like wait all day sitting around.
Yeah.
And the sound that the other one makes while he's waiting, I mean, it says like ugh or something on the page, and I was like making a dramatic sound, and this child, every time that I did it, was like, I don't like that sound. I don't like that sound. I was like, this is just how I'm reading it. It's how I'm reading it. And when your teacher comes back from the bathroom, I will give the book back to her, and she can finish it. But for now, we're gonna read it my way.
Tough cookies.
I know, really tough crowd. We do have some very fun book readers in our school, so I know that the bar is kind of high. But
yeah, they're raising the median.
Yeah. I know, we keep hiring theater kids, and they really.
There are a lot of those, aren't there?
There's a lot of theater kids in our school, and they're really good at reading books to children.
Yeah.
But I was a theater kid, so I'm just doing it different.
Yeah.
Anyway,
just different performance.
it's fine to not be the preferred one, but anyway.
All right, I'm ready. It's Christmas Day. Christmas starts here, as he said.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, he said Christmas starts here.
Oh, okay. Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah. Amanda was in the kitchen preparing Christmas dinner when the Yattering mounted its next attack. Through the house drifted the sound of King's College Choir, "O little town of Bethlehem, how still we see thee lie." The presents had been opened, the G&Ts were being downed, the house was one warm embrace from roof to cellar. In the kitchen, a sudden chill permeated the heat and the steam, making Amanda shiver. She crossed to the window, which was ajar, to clear the air and closed it. Maybe she was catching something. The Yattering watched her back as she busied herself about in the kitchen, enjoying the domesticity for a day. Amanda felt the stare quite clearly. She turned around. Nobody. Nothing. She continued to wash the Brussels sprouts, cutting into one with a worm curled in the middle. She drowned it. The choir sang on. In the lounge, Jack was laughing with Gina about something. Then a noise. A rattling at first, followed by a beating of somebody's fists against a door. Amanda dropped the knife into the bowl of sprouts and turned from the sink, following the sound. It was getting louder all the time. Like something locked in one of the cupboards, desperate to escape. A cat caught in the box, or a bird. It was coming from the oven. Amanda's stomach turned as she began to imagine the worst. Had she locked something in the oven when she put in the turkey? She called for her father as she snatched up the oven cloth and stepped toward the cooker, which was rocking with the panic of its prisoner. She had visions of a basted cat leaping out at her, its fur burned off, its flesh half-cooked. This is not what happens. Jack was at the kitchen door. "There's something in the oven," she said to him, as though he needed telling. The cooker was in a frenzy. Its thrashing contents had all but been beaten off the door. He took the oven cloth from her. "This is a new one," he thought. "You're better than I judged you to be. This is clever. This is original." Gina was in the kitchen now. "What's cooking?" she quipped. But the joke was lost as the cooker began to dance and the pans of boiling water were twitched off the burners onto the floor. Scalding water seared Jack's leg. He yelled, stumbling back into Gina before diving at the cooker with a yell that wouldn't have shamed a samurai. The oven handle was slippery with heat and grease, but he seized it and flung the door down. A wave of steam and blistering heat rolled out of the oven, smelling of succulent turkey fat, but the bird inside had apparently no intentions of being eaten. It was flinging itself from side to side on the roasting tray, tossing gouts of gravy in all directions. Its crisp brown wings pitifully flailed and flapped. Its legs beat a tattoo on the roof of the oven. Then it seemed to sense the open door. Its wings stretched themselves out to either side of its stuffed bulk, and it half hopped, half fell onto the oven door in a mockery of its living self. Headless, oozing stuffing and onions, it flopped around as though nobody had been told the damn thing it was dead, while the fat still bubbled on its bacon-strewn back. Amanda screamed. Jack dived for the door as the bird lurched into the air, blind but vengeful. What it intended to do once it reached its 3 cowering victims was never discovered. Gina dragged Amanda into the hallway with her father in hot pursuit, and the door was slammed closed as the blind bird flung itself against the paneling, beating on it with all its strength. Gravy seeped through the gap at the bottom of the door, dark and fatty. The door had no lock, but Jack reasoned that the bird was not capable of turning the handle. As he backed away, breathless, he cursed his confidence. The opposition had more up its sleeve than he'd guessed. Amanda was leaning against the wall, sobbing, her face stained with splotches of turkey grease. All she seemed to be able to do was deny what she'd seen, shaking her head and repeating the word no like a talisman against the ridiculous horror that was still throwing itself against the door. Jack escorted her through to the lounge. The radio was still crooning carols which blotted out the din of the bird, but their promise of goodwill seemed small comfort. Gina poured a hefty brandy for her sister and sat beside her on the sofa, plying her with spirits and reassurance in about equal measure. They made little impression on Amanda. "What was that?" Gina asked her father in a tone that demanded an answer. "I don't know what it was," Jack replied. "Mass hysteria?" Gina's displeasure was plain. Her father had a secret. He knew what was going on in the house, but was refusing to cough up for some reason. What do I call? The police or an exorcist? Neither. For God's sake, there's nothing going on, Gina. Really. Her father turned from the window and looked at her. His eyes spoke what his mouth refused to say, that this was war. Jack was afraid. The house was suddenly a prison. The game was suddenly lethal. The enemy, instead of playing foolish games, meant harm, or real harm, to them all. In the kitchen, the turkey had at last conceded defeat. The carols on the radio had withered into a sermon on God's benedictions. What had been sweet was sour and dangerous. He looked across the room at Amanda and Gina. Both, for their own reasons, were trembling. Polo wanted to tell them, wanted to explain what was going on, but the thing must be here, he knew, gloating. He was wrong. The Yattering had retired to the attic, well satisfied with its endeavors. The bird, it felt, had been a stroke of genius. Now it could rest a while, recuperate, let the enemy's nerves tatter themselves in anticipation, then, in its own good time, it would deliver the coup de grace. I guess that's not how you say that. Whatever.
I think that's...
I think it's just coup de grace. I don't think you say the...
Oh. Are you sure? I think you do.
Maybe you do. I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know French. I did
don't
take French,
know.
but I don't know French.
I think you do say.
Maybe you do. Idly. It wondered if any of the inspectors had seen his work with the turkey. Maybe they would be impressed enough by the Yattering's originality to improve its job prospects. Surely it hadn't gone through all those years of training simply to chase half-witted imbeciles like Polo. There must be something more challenging available than that. It felt victory in its invisible bones, and it was a good feeling. The pursuit of Polo would surely gain momentum now. His daughters would convince him, if he wasn't now quite convinced, that there was something terrible afoot. He would crack. He would crumble. Maybe he'd go classically mad, tear out his hair, rip off his clothes, smear himself with his own excrement. Oh yes, victory was close. And wouldn't its masters be loving then? Wouldn't it be showered with praise and power? That's what I thought. That's what I thought. Coup de grace.
That's annoying.
But it's like how bona fide is spelled, and you're like, bona fide? What are you talking about? And other things as well. Other languages are very nice. And also hard to pronounce. One more manifestation was all that was required. One final inspired intervention, and Polo would be so much blubbering flesh. Tired but confident, the Yattering descended into the lounge. Amanda was lying full length on the sofa, asleep. She was obviously dreaming about the turkey. Her eyes rolled beneath her gossamer lids, her lower lip trembling. Gina sat beside the radio, which was silenced now. She had a book open on her lap, but she wasn't reading it. The gherkin importer wasn't in the room.
I forgot you were the gherkin importer.
The gherkin importer.
Fuck, I forgot.
The gherkin importer was not in the room.
The
I
gherkin
know
importer,
he was not in the room.
I know the gherkin was not there.
Wasn't that his footstep on the stair? Yes, he was going upstairs to relieve his brandy-full bladder. Ideal timing. The Yattering crossed the room. In her sleep, Amanda dreamt something dark flittering across her vision, something malign, something that tasted bitter in her mouth. Gina looked up from her book. The silver balls on the tree were rocking gently. Not just the balls. The tinsel and the branches, too. In fact, the whole tree was rocking as though someone had just seized hold of it. Gina had a very bad feeling about this. She stood up. The book slid to the floor. The tree began to spin. Christ, she said. Jesus Christ! Amanda slept on. The tree picked up momentum. Gina walked as steadily as she could across to the sofa and tried to shake her sister awake. Amanda, locked in her dreams, resisted for a moment. Father, said Gina. Her voice was strong and carried through into the hall. It also woke Amanda. Downstairs, Polo heard a noise like a whining dog. No, like 2 whining dogs. As he ran down the stairs, the duet became a trio. He burst into the lounge, half expecting all the hosts of hell to be in there, dog-headed, dancing on his beauties. But no, it was a Christmas tree that was whining like a pack of dogs as it spun and spun. The lights had long since been pulled from their sockets. The air stank of singed plastic and pine sap. The tree itself was spinning like a top, flinging decorations and presents off its tortured branches with the largesse of a mad king. Jack tore his eyes from the spectacle of the tree and found Gina and Amanda crouching, terrified behind the sofa. "Get out of here," he yelled. Even as he spoke, the television sat up impertinently on one leg and began to spin like the tree, gathering momentum quickly. The clock on the mantelpiece joined in the pirouetting. The pokers beside the fire, the cushions, the ornaments, each object added its own singular note to the orchestration of winds which were building up, second by second, to a deafening pitch. The air began to brim with the smell of burning wood as friction heated the spinning tops to flashpoint. Smoke swirled across the room. Gina had Amanda by the arm and was dragging her towards the door, shielding her face against the hail of pine needles that the still accelerating tree was throwing off. Now the lights were spinning. The books, having flung themselves off the shelves, had joined the tarantella. Jack could see the enemy in his mind's eye, racing between the objects like a juggler spinning plates on sticks, trying to keep them all moving at once. It must be exhausting work, he thought. Demon was probably close to collapse. It couldn't be thinking straight. Overexcited, impulsive, vulnerable, this must be the moment. And if ever there was a moment to join battle at last, to face the thing, defy it, and trap it. For its part, the Yattering was enjoying this orgy of destruction. It flung every movable object into the fray, setting everything spinning. It watched with satisfaction as the daughters twitched and scurried. It laughed to see the old man stare pop-eyed at this preposterous ballet. Surely he was nearly mad, wasn't he? The beauties had reached the door, their hair and skin full of needles. Polo didn't see them leave. He ran across the room, dodging a rain of ornaments to do so, and picked up a brass toasting fork, which the enemy had overlooked. Bric-a-brac filled the air around his head, dancing around with sickening speed. His flesh was bruised and punctured. The exhilaration of joining battle had overtaken him. He set about beating the books and the clocks and the china to smithereens. Like a man in a cloud of locusts, he ran around the room, bringing down his favorite books in a welter of fluttering pages, smashing whirling Dresden, shattering the lamps. A litter of broken possessions swamped the floor, some of it still twitching as the life went out of the fragments. But for every object brought low, there were a dozen still spinning, still whining. He could hear Gina at the door, yelling to him to get out, to leave it alone. But it was so enjoyable playing against the enemy more directly than he'd ever allowed himself before. He didn't want to give up. He wanted the demon to show itself, to be known, and to be recognized. He wanted confrontation with the Old One's emissary once and for all. Without warning, the tree gave way to the dictates of centrifugal force and exploded. The noise was like a bowl? Wow, no. The noise was like a howl of death. Branches, twigs, needles, balls, lights, wire, ribbons flew across the room. Jack, his back to the explosion, felt a gust of energy hit him hard, and he was flung to the ground. The back of his neck and his scalp were shot full of pine needles. Branch, naked of greenery, shot past his head and impaled the sofa. Fragments of tree pattered to the carpet around him. Now other objects around the room, spun beyond the tolerance of their structures, were exploding like the tree. The television blew up, sending a lethal wave of glass across the room, much of which buried itself in the opposite wall. This is just what happened on Christmas, you know? Fragments of the television's innards, so hot they singed the skin, fell on Jack as he elbowed himself towards the door like a soldier under bombardment. The room was so thick with a barrage of shards, it was like fog. The cushions had lent their down to the scene snowing on the carpet. Porcelain pieces, a beautifully glazed arm, a courtesan's head, bounced on the floor in front of his nose. Gina was crouching at the back door, urging him to hurry, her eyes narrowed against the hail. As Jack reached the door and felt her arms around him, he swore he could hear laughter from the lounge. Tangible, audible laughter, rich and satisfied. Amanda was standing in the hall, her hair full of pine needles, staring down at him. He pulled his legs through the doorway and Gina slammed the door shut on the demolition. What is it? She demanded. Poltergeist? Ghost? Mother's ghost? The thought of his dead wife being responsible for such wholesale destruction struck Jack as funny. Amanda was half smiling. Good, he thought. She's coming out of it. Then he met the vacant look in her eyes and the truth dawned. She'd broken. Her sanity had taken refuge where this fantastique couldn't get at it. What's in there? Gina was asking, her grip on his arm so strong it stopped the blood. I don't know, he lied. Amanda? Amanda's smile didn't decay. She just stared at him, through him. You do know. No. You're lying! I think he picked himself off the floor, brushing the pieces of porcelain, the feathers, the glass off his shirt and trousers. I think I shall go for a walk. Behind him in the lounge, the last vestiges of whining had stopped. The air in the hallway was electric with unseen presences. It was very close to him, invisible as ever, but so close. This was the most dangerous time. He mustn't lose his nerve now. He must stand up as though nothing had happened. He must leave Amanda be, leave explanations and recriminations until it was all over and done with. Walk? Gina said, disbelievingly. Yes, walk. I need some fresh air. You can't leave us here. I'll find somebody to help us clean up. But Mandy, she'll get over it. Leave her be. That was hard. That was almost unforgivable. But it was said now. He walked unsteadily towards the front door, feeling nauseous after so much spinning. At his back, Gina was raging. You can't just leave! Are you out of your mind? I need the air, he said, as casually as his thumping heart and his parched throat would permit. So, I'll just go out for a moment. No, the Yattering said. No, no, no! It was behind him. Polo could feel it. So angry now, so ready to twist off his head. Except it wasn't allowed, ever, to touch him. But he could feel its resentment like a physical presence. He took another step towards the front door. It was with him still, dogging his every step. His shadow, his fetch, unshakable. Gina shrieked at him, You son of a bitch, look at Mandy, she's lost her mind! No, he mustn't look at Mandy. If he looked at Mandy, he might weep. He might break down as the thing wanted him to, then everything would be lost. She'll be all right, he said, barely above a whisper. He reached for the front door handle. The demon bolted the door, quickly, loudly, no temper left for pretense now. Jack, keeping his movements as even as possible, unbolted the door, top and bottom. It bolted again. It was thrilling, this game. It was also terrifying. If he pushed too far, surely the demon's frustration would override its lessons. Gently, smoothly, he unbolted the door again. Just as gently, just as smoothly, the Yattering bolted it. Jack wondered how long he could keep this up for. Somehow, he had to get outside. He had to coax it over the threshold. One step was all that the law required, according to his researches. One simple step. Unbolted, bolted, unbolted, bolted. Gina was standing 2 or 3 yards behind her father. She didn't understand what she was seeing, but it was obvious her father was doing battle with someone or something. Daddy, she began. Shut up, he said benignly, grinning as he unbolted the door for the 7th time. There was a shiver of lunacy in the grin. It was too wide and too easy. Inexplicably, she returned the smile. It was grim, but genuine. Whatever was at issue here. She loved him. Polo made a break for the back door. The demon was 3 paces ahead of him, scooting through the house like a sprinter, and bolting the door before Jack could even reach the handle. The key was turned in the lock by invisible hands, then crushed to dust in the air. Jack feigned a move toward the window beside the back door, but the blinds were pulled down and the shutters slammed. The Yattering, too concerned with the window to watch Jack closely, missed his doubling back through the house. When it saw the trick that was being played, it let out a little screech, and gave chase, almost sliding into Jack on the smoothly polished floor. It avoided the collision only by the most balletic of maneuvers. Wow. I really fell down in my mouth. That would be fatal indeed, to touch the man in the heat of the moment. Polo was again at the front door, and Gina, wise to her father's strategy, had unbolted it while the Yattering and Jack fought at the back door. Jack had prayed she'd take the opportunity to open it. She had. It stood slightly ajar. The icy air of the crisp afternoon curled its way into the hallway. Jack covered the last yards to the door in a flash, feeling without hearing the howl of complaint the Yattering loosed as it saw its victim escaping into the outside world. It was not an ambitious creature. All it wanted at that moment, beyond any other dream, was to take this human skull between its palms and make a nonsense of it, crush it to smithereens, and pour the hot thought out onto the snow. To be done with Jack J. Polo forever and ever. Was that so much to ask? Polo had stepped into the squeaky fresh snow, his slippers and trouser bottoms buried in chill. By the time the Fury reached the step, Jack was already 3 or 4 yards away, marching up the path towards the gate. Escaping. The Yattering howled again, forgetting its years of training. Every lesson it had learned, every rule of battle engraved on its skull was submerged by the simple desire to have Polo's life. It stepped over the threshold and gave chase. It was an unpardonable transgression. Somewhere in hell, the powers, long may they hold court, long may they shit light on the heads of the damned, felt the sin and knew the war for Jack Polo's soul was lost. Jack felt it too. He heard the sound of boiling water as the demon's footsteps melted to steam. Melted to steam the snow on the path. It was coming after him. The thing had broken the first rule of its existence. It was forfeit. He felt the victory in his spine and his stomach. The demon overtook him at the gate. Its breath could clearly be seen in the air, though the body it emanated from had not yet become visible. Jack tried to open the gate, but the Yattering slammed it shut. "Che sera, sera," said Jack. The Yattering could bear it no longer. He took Jack's head in its hands, intending to crush the fragile bone to dust. The touch was its second sin, and it agonized the Yattering beyond endurance. It bayed like a banshee and reeled away from the contact, sliding in the snow and falling on its back. It knew its mistake. The lessons it had beaten into it came hurtling back. It knew the punishment, too, for leaving the house, for touching the man. It was bound to a new lord, enslaved to this idiot creature standing over it. Polo had won. He was laughing, watching the way the outline of the demon formed in the snow on the path. Like a photograph developing on a sheet of paper, the image of the Fury came clear. The law was taking its toll. The Yattering could never hide from its master again. There it was, plain to Polo's eyes in all its charmless glory. Maroon flesh and bright lidless eye, arms flailing, tail thrashing the snow to slush. "You bastard," it said. Its accent had an Australian lilt. I have not been including that. I'm so sorry for my inaccuracies. "You will not speak unless spoken to," said Polo, with quiet but absolute authority. "Understood?" The lidless eye clouded with humility. "Yes," the Yattering said. "Yes, Mr. Polo." "Yes, Mr. Polo." Its tail slipped between its legs like that of a whipped dog. "You may stand." "Thank you, Mr. Polo." It stood. Not a pleasant sight, but one Jack rejoiced in, nevertheless. "They'll have you yet," said the Yattering. "Who will?" "You know," it said hesitantly. "Name them." "Beelzebub," it answered, proud to name its old master. "The powers, hell itself." "I don't think so," Polo mused. "Not with you bound to me as proof of my skills. Aren't I the better of them?" The eye looked sullen. "Aren't I?" "Yes," it conceded bitterly. "Yes, you are the better of them." It had begun to shiver. "Are you cold?" asked Polo. It nodded, affecting the look of a lost child. "Then you need some exercise," he said. "You'd better go back into the house and start tidying up." The Fury looked bewildered, even disappointed by this instruction. "Nothing more?" it asked incredulously. "No miracles? No Helen of Troy? No flying?" The thought of flying on a snow-spattered afternoon like this left Polo cold. He was essentially a man of simple tastes. All he asked for in life was the love of his children, a pleasant home, a good trading price for gherkins. No flying, he said. As the Yattering slouched down the path toward the door, it seemed to alight on a new piece of mischief. It turned back to Polo, obsequious, but unmistakably smug. Could I just say something? It said. Speak. It's only fair that I inform you that it's considered ungodly to have any contact with the likes of me. Heretical, even. Is that so? Oh, yes, said the Yattering, warming to its prophecy. People have been burned for less. Not in this day and age, Polo replied. But the Seraphim will see, it said, and that means you'll never go to that place. What place? The Yattering fumbled for the special word it had heard Beelzebub use. Heaven, it said, triumphant. An ugly grin had come on its face. This was the cleverest maneuver it had ever attempted. It was juggling theology here. Jack nodded slowly, nibbling at his bottom lip. The creature was probably telling the truth. Association with it, or its like, would not be looked upon benignly by the host of saints and angels. He probably was forbidden access to the plains of paradise. Well, he said, you know what I have to say about that, don't you? The Yattering stared at him, frowning. No, it didn't know. Then the grim satisfaction it had been wearing died, just as it saw what Polo was driving at. What do I say? Polo asked it. Defeated, the Yattering murmured the phrase. Que sera, sera. Polo smiled. There's a chance for you yet, he said, and led the way over the threshold, closing the door with something very like serenity on his face. And that's it. That's the story.
Wow.
Well, Merry Christmas.
Christmas. Christmas is approaching.
Yeah. Ooh, stretchy. Okay. Me's tired now.
Mm-hmm.
My lungs are tired. So, that's it. That's all I got.
I'm sleepy.
Yeah, I read you to sleep.
Yeah, and then I have to go to bed.
Yeah. To be fair, we did get up at ass o'clock.
It wasn't our fault.
It wasn't our fault. It was, I think... Mookgrin, you should read... okay. I'm gonna say you should read Clive Barker, but it gets a lot weirder than that. Like, that did have some weird stuff in it, but that was like one of the most vanilla stories in the Books of Blood, which is so that was from Books of Blood volumes 1 to 3, which is his short story collection from I think the stories are like from the 80s and stuff. And yeah, obviously there's the Hellbound Heart, which Hellraiser is based on. That's some of the more edgelord stuff, but he gets weird. But I love him nevertheless, so I would always recommend him unless, you're sensitive to topics. I would give like a list of topics that he writes about that people might not like, but it would be a lot of stuff. It would be a lot of stuff. So anyway, I'm a big I love him. I just got from the bookstore Weave World and Imagica, which are I think some of his less horror like stuff and more fantasy. So I'm excited to read those because I haven't read a lot of his non-horror fiction. So that should be interesting. I know he also wrote Aberrat, which is for young adults, which is fantasy, which I actually read and enjoyed as a teenager, but I was slightly scared of the illustrations. He's also an illustrator. I don't know if anyone knows this. Clive Barker is also an illustrator. And he illustrated Aberrat and illustrates a lot of his own stuff, and really good. And it's really fucked up. So yeah. I have to go now.
We have to go.
We have to go. We're tired. I woke up at 4:30 personally and have not I did not go back to sleep after that, and Joe woke up at 6:30.
I woke up like sick.
Yeah.
And then one of the cats did a stinky poo.
He did the stinkiest poo in the whole world, and I could not get back to sleep after that. So
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for hanging out. I really had a nice and cozy time, so I hope that it was good for everyone. Okay.
Yeah.
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 There's a nudge a little announcement in at the end of the stream. Not that that's the best place to put it, but I am gonna try and do Mass Effect tomorrow, since I realized that Wednesday is Christmas Eve, and also we're traveling, so I'm gonna try to squeeze in one more Mass Effect before Christmas break, and then I'll be back in January, so yeah. Have a good night, everybody, and I'll see you later.
Goodbye.
No, I will not be right back. I will be back later.
Later.